Hey everybody, Brad Linder back at you again at normal time. Can you believe it? Made it regular time today. Gonna share this over with the page here pretty quick and over with the channel so you guys can follow along and we can bring in some more friends that way. And I'm gonna be doing Mer-Man from He-Man. Just wanted to knock this out and get it colored up. It is the original version, not the new Cartoon Network stuff. Hey, Rusty, my buddy Rusty Gilligan made it. Mr. Knoll hiding out over there as well. Hey, Ralph, how's it going? Not too bad, man. I'm just knocking this out. Gonna start right in with this being, like I said, the 80s style. I'm gonna start right in with the mask here, which a lot of people have been asking me about. Why is it not the the new full yellow mask that everybody knows from the new reboot from the Cartoon Network? I say new, but it's been a couple of years now. I am knocking out the original version of Mer-Man from the 1980s style cartoon, and he has this unusual orange mask around his eyes, which he has a battle armor mask, which is yellow, which he wears on occasion in the cartoon, but not too often. Most times when you see him, he comes out like this, and that is it. But he has these weird, cool orange eyes around, or these orbits around his eyes, and the rest of the armor comes out in a bright yellow, which that orange is YR04 in Copics. And I'm going to use a Y35 for this orange because it's got kind of a yellow tone to it, which is the bright contrasting yellow against the green that this guy has on his skin, which I really dig as well because it's very vibrant, very cartoony in style. That's why I love these so much. Mattel wanted to go with a very cool, heavy, bright colored format when they did these tunes, and the comics and action figures followed suit, specifically the same way. And I really like the new He-Man. I have it on DVD. I have the collection on DVD, and it was the new He-Man and the Masters of the Universe cartoon series was really cool. Modern animation style. They did a really good job on it. It had great music, great effects, and was really sound. But the only problem that I had with it was that it wasn't the original, and I give credit where it's due. At least it wasn't a new revamp anime or manga type thing, which I have nothing against those styles. They just don't work for this cartoon series because it is a classic American tune. Even though the funny thing is it was a Japanese animation studio that did most of the cell work for Mattel stuff for Filmation, the animation studio that got contracted to do it. They outsourced all that stuff, and that's the reason you see a lot of the scenes get replayed in the original series. If you watch, like Prince Adam's running scene or some of He-Man's running battle scenes kind of thing gets replayed constantly over and over and throughout the series. And the reason for that is because they reused the cells because they work perfectly for that type of thing. The biggest one is where you see He-Man run into a room, look left, look right, and then run off. And it's an overhead kind of slanted view where he's got his legs spread apart and he's, standing in a battle stance, kind of a squat. And he looks around, got his fist pumped up, and then he runs off. Same thing with Prince Adam. They had a shot in there where Prince Adam would run in, and it was normally an interior scene where he was in a castle or something looking for a place to hide to change into He-Man. Always cracked me up because I would catch that and it would just bust me up to no end. But hey man, thanks a lot, Rusty. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, man. It's rare to get Rusty on because he's so busy and always got stuff going on. And yeah, known that guy for a long time. Glad you made it on, man. Always appreciate it when you comment on the work. Cool stuff. But yeah, this series is wild, man. I really dig these tunes. I have them on DVD. all the volumes of it, blah blah blah. You know how it goes. You hit it hardcore and you collect it and da 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 da. But in this particular case, it's a little different. It's a sincerity and a nostalgia thing going on for the respect of the cartoons. They just don't make them like this anymore. And I know every generation says that, and I know every time I do one of these, I mention that same thing. But it's literally true. They don't do the same style of animation they used to anymore, where these tunes are concerned anymore. And it's just strange that, I know that's a lot of work and stuff to go into those and do them at that level because those cells were drawn. But in the same token, though, with everything being modernized and CGI'd, it's really rough to get a decent tune. And that's why I was so happy when the Cartoon Network came out with that revamped remodel, and it was the original animated style, but in a modern technique, which gave it a semi-reminiscent look of what the original had brought, which that was so cool to see because they don't do that with these types of characters anymore. Nowadays it's either 2D flat animation, computer generated slides where it's real flat, or it goes into something anime style, or just completely CGI generated, which just crushes it as far as I'm concerned, but not in a good way, in a bad way, because it takes away all the leverage and life from the animation. But that's a personal note of that as well, but still, nonetheless, it is what it is as far as that goes, and it's something that's missing. Kids don't get that same thing like we used to back when we were younger, especially the kids in the 80s, growing up in the 80s, and it just doesn't exist anymore. It was the same thing with the 60s kids getting all of the really cool Hanna-Barbera cartoons left and right. They had a whole other level of that stuff, which, thanks to syndication, we got it as as 70s and 80s kids, but still, it's just not the same thing. But we've got to come back to that at that level, and that's what I'm trying to do here with these cards, is I'm trying to bring out something of a level that you haven't seen or haven't seen very often. And the reason I want to do that is because I want to bring that nostalgia back. And this is what I consider a cartoon growing up, and every generation's got their incarnations of stuff, but still, that's just one of those things. I like to bring it out there and show people the artwork and say, hey, this is the way it goes, and this is what really happened back in the day when this came out in its heyday. And that sucks that I'm old enough now that it's got a heyday that I can remember, and a lot of people can't. And it's just, but whatever. I'm still here, still kicking. Life goes on. Hey, cool deal. But anyway, there's his armor. We're all set up with that. Now I'm going to go in with a G14, which is a pretty blunt green, as the base coat for Mer-Man here, because I want to get this going with a solid look. And I want him to be just popping off the card here. And that's why I'm doing it this way, so that we can get that depth and richness to it. Kind of fanning that out so it gives the edge of that muscle a little more ink, a little more care. Because the tonality and saturation of the ink from these Copics comes out really solid, and when it dries, it gives it a natural edge. You can already see it starting to, well, I hope that picks up. It's starting to fade right here just a little bit, and it's giving a darker natural shadow to it on that edge. That's what we want. So when it dries, it gives it that texture. Excuse my sniffles. We've had a major weather change here, and it got really cold last night, and then this morning it was like springtime weather. Very bright, very sunny, very beautiful all day long, with a light cool breeze in the 60s, 70s, the high 60s. I think it got to like 68 or 69 today. Beautiful weather. A light breeze going on, so it wasn't cold, but it was nice outside, so it wasn't hot. And I was strapped to a desk most of the day, but I decided to take my dog out, my lab, and give him a little time playing out in the yard and for a walk, and it got crazy. My allergies kicked in, so bear with me if I sound clogged up or sound funny, more so than usual. But yeah, trying to get this done and trying to get these wonderful sites up now that I've got them on the servers and everything's running. My network is flawless, thank goodness for that, and my hosting service is up. I'm happy with that. But trying to build the business back out with all these revamped sites coming up, you know, it's been a long time. I mean, 14 months is a long time to go by your working staff of your current email clients and all that going on, and then building it up on social media and whatever, but not necessarily building up too much in the way of new stuff directly from my web properties. It's been a long time coming, and I'm glad to get that stuff up, especially Firestorm Comics coming up this weekend, because it's just been a long time coming, and I'm so happy to get that stuff going. Of course, I'm sure my family will be too, because it's just like, you know, now you're getting back into it, man. So, but whatever. So, let's see here. We're gonna get him going. I'm trying to get this done without catching any graphite and without going over too far, which I'm gonna have to touch up because I'm running over in spots. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Oh my goodness. Yep, we're getting there. Cool. All right, now I'm going to go down here and do this side and get it out of the way, and then I'm going to go in and tone this thing, and it'll be B-E-A beautiful. Very, very quickly. Try not to run over and ruin that yellow. Because this is going to be ocean blue, so we can hide that back there. Actually, it's going to be purple, because the water on Eternia is not blue. It's purple. It's purple. Which a lot of people don't know that. The water on Eternia is not blue. It's purple. Purple. Then we're going to put in this hip line here for the bottom, because it goes off and comes down in some other armor down here that's like a green loincloth kind of thing, like He-Man wears, but hey, cool, whatever. Anyway, gotta go in here and do these eyes real quick. The eyelids more so. And Mer-Man has double eyelids, believe it or not. They showed him in one of the episodes where he blinks and he has double eyelids. And I found that really, really cool because of the fact that what happens is, hey man, thanks, I appreciate it, Rusty. He said just for you guys, not as a side note, just because he mentioned it, I want to say that. He said that this was one of his favorites. The original Mer-Man was one of his favorites from the series. Rusty's kind of an old school guy, so he likes the original stuff, which I am a huge fan of as well. But anyway, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. But I am knocking this out with a hard green 05. And the reason I chose this color is because it gives it that cartoony richness without going overkill on too much gray in the green, which we don't want on this particular piece, because I want it to be light and airy like the cartoon. I really do. I want it to be bright and colorful, not too realistic at all in design. And that's the reason I'm going with this one, because I want it to be nice and smooth. Nice and smooth. And I totally agree with Rusty on that one. I am old school for the nostalgia of the original and the design of it and the work that went into it. Way over the richness and coolness of the new stuff. But like I said, I'm not being a hypocrite here, because like I said, I like the new stuff too. I did admit to liking the new stuff. I'm not just saying that because Rusty said something. But like I said, the reason I draw this is because I do favor this a little bit more. So, Hence the reasoning as to why we got this one instead of the new one. If I like it so much, you know. I see people all the time. If you like it so much, why'd you draw the old one? The reason I drew the old one is because I drew the original artwork set. And that's what I wanted to draw. So that's why. I'm going to add a little shadow right here under his face. He's got a little bit of a nose ridge, but not much of one. It's kind of a snout more than anything. And I'll put that on there just a little bit, because I like the look of it. But I'll make it stand out a little more like a nose, make him look a little more frog-faced. But I'm going to knock this out from this side right here, putting the shadow against his skin for that armor, and kind of coming up this way a little bit, leaving that open. So we have those highlights from the back as well as the front. And then we have just a little streak of color right in here. And then we're going to go over to this side, and I'm going to knock this shoulder out real quick. Just boom. No joke. In there and out. Cool deal. Same thing with this bicep. Just very clean. A little shadow there. Leave backlight ridge. No biggie there. Catch that tricep. Oh, I put a little green on there anyway. Oops. That's okay. I'll show you guys how to do a cover up real quick. You come in, you make it stern lines like it's pieces of the armor. Boom, done deal, no problem. Instant cover up. And that is a precise V5 RT, which is refillable. It's a 0.05, so I use that as a lot of the basic inking that I do with these things, just to bring it up a little bit. So there you go with that. And now I'm going to use a little bit different one on this one. I'm going to make this gem in his belt look kind of like an olive green kind of thing. And the reason for that is because that's the color it actually has in there. It's either a bright emerald green in an animation feel, or it's got this crazy olive green color. I'm going to do this eel back here, and I'm going to do, since we're going to make him an Eternia eel, they come up bright brown. I'm going to add this bad boy because of the fact that I want him to look that way. So I gave him a light brown tongue too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here because he's very neutral in the way he hides. And the reason I got this coloring is because of the fact that in one of the episodes of He-Man, Beastman calls on one of those to jump out at Snake Mountain, and it's brown like that. Now I'm going to put a really cool orange electrical field around him. And in the show, I think it was red. But in this case, I'm going to put the orange around him because I want it to contrast with Mer-Man, and I want it to contrast with the purple water when I finish this up. So maybe that'll make it look red. It'll pull more of the red out of it and make it look a little smoother. But for the time being, I'm just going to go fill this bad boy in like this. Trying to knock this out really quick without going over too much because of the fact that this is a sketch card. I don't want to do it in a timely manner. Let's see here. Hey, Johnny, glad you made it, man. I'm early today, right? Johnny normally comes on and hangs out with me late at night because that's when he's off work and around. And been keeping me company with these late nights, man. Oh, let's see here. I'm going to grab the bag of tools here. And I'm going to grab some purples. Some purples. And we're going to go from there. So, I'm going to start in with a little bit of pink because this is an Eternia, like I said, an underwater scene for Eternia. So I'm going to be coming in with vast changes here in color. I want it to pop out. And he's lighting up the water, so to speak, so it'll be bright right there. Make sure we cover everything really well here around, because he's going to light up the water, so it's going to make it look a little bit different, right? So we're going to light up the water a little bit, kind of put some squiggles in there for breaking it up, kind of deal, like that, like the charge is making the water change colors kind of thing. Put some brush strokes in there, clean stuff. Okay, cool. Now, just to break things up, I'll put in a couple strokes here and there, like that. And I'll start one over here, a little bit of this pink stuff in here. Because that was one thing they did with the cool water effects and things like that. They always made things alien in nature, so you knew it wasn't Earth that these characters were on, and everything that was supposed to be blue was normally purple. Everything that was supposed to be brown was normally either red or green. You know, everything that was supposed to be gray was normally gray, but that was the one neutral color. And then they had the skin colors come out where it was the normal color of skin, you know, the flesh tones. However, they didn't have a variety of, you know, it was humanoid. They didn't have quite a variety. You know, they didn't have any African-American characters as much as, you know, modern stuff does, or, you know, any ethnic groups, as it were, which was kind of weird. But especially being alien, you'd think they would have more diversity. But they did that in, I think I've talked about that before. I think they did that more as a, not necessarily as coloring, you know, the humanoid people, different racial ethnicities and whatnot. I think they did it properly by making a different species of humanoid being overall, which you have like Mer-Man and Beast-Man and Jackal-Man and Monkey-Man and Slithe and the mutants. You know, you had different kind of humanoid figures. I think that was their play on the diversity of the human species, because it wasn't humans as in Earthlings, you know, Terrans. That's why we had extraterrestrials, because they were extraterrestrial people. They were not of Earth. So that could be the play they took on that. I've watched a lot of the special stuff on, you know, He-Man, the making of and all that, where they made all these cartoons like Thundercats and He-Man and G.I. Joe from the Filmation stuff with the anniversary disc and whatnot. And man, I tell you, that was a huge play these guys pulled just for animating cartoons based on toys. It's pretty intense, because Mattel did all these toys, you know. They own these properties, and they came in and did these toy lines to market their stuff. So let's see here. Got a little bit richer one. Gonna go in the darker spots here, kind of touch base a little bit. I'm not really gonna bog this down too much with a lot of, shake things up a little bit to show the diversity. Like I said, just a little bit of color here and there kind of thing, like this. And if it overlaps him a little bit, it looks like he's under the water anyway, so it's fine, you know. If it cuts into it just a little, I let those effects ride as part of the contact, you know what I mean? So that also proves the fact that it was hand drawn, and this is a legitimate copy of this card. If you join in and get part of the sketchbook pieces from the upcoming Kickstarter this coming April, you'll be able to, you know, next month, you'll be able to grab that and say you got that card. But anyway, I just wanted to add a little bit of diversity to it. Now I'm going to come in with this really, really funky blue-violet. Oh my goodness, I'm trying not to sneeze here, so if I sniffle or cough, I apologize. It's just trying not to let this get away from me and go crazy all over Facebook. Did you see where Brad popped his head off? He sneezed so hard, man. It was tragic. So I try not to expose you guys to that because I sneeze very hard. But anyway, back to the card. I'm going to put a little bit of this violet in here to kind of shade him up a little bit. Not too much, just a little to kind of contrast a little bit. And I know that's an awkward color for that brown, and it's going to muddy it up. But he's back off in the distance, and I want to kind of shadow him out just a little bit where he pops just a little more. And I think this is a great way to bring that together and bring that out a lot more. Now, I think we've about got him because I don't want to touch this guy with any grays or anything like that because I don't want him to look awkward. I think I'm just going to leave it alone and go from there. Now, that's where we're at with this one. I am going to leave this alone right here. I know his eyes are yellow, and I'm going to end it on this note. I know his eyes are yellow, but I'm going to go in and put in this olive tint so that it'll dry a greenish yellow. And I know that looks a little funky, but I don't want to muddy this guy up with a bunch of grays. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of accent things with this green instead, so that'll show up. Now, I hope this looks good. I hope you guys dig it. And we got another one down. I think I have, I have Zodiac coming up next in this line. Zodiac from the original He-Man right there. And then I have Ember from my buddy Brent's card sets and his show and his upcoming comic book, Ember, which I did for the Kickstarter. And then I'm going to do Battle Cat. And then after that, I'm going to round out the He-Man set with, I round out the He-Man set after that with the actual He-Man large piece that I did, like the Skeletor set. And it's got He-Man in front of Castle Grayskull. We're going to do that one next. So you guys hang tight with me. As always, thank you for hanging out with me for a little bit. And we have this big rock for a little bit amount of time out there. So see what you can do about being cool with leaving it in a better place than you found it for the next generation. Talk to you tomorrow.